Hello everyone, welcome once again to Gotham Discussions. I am Captain Logan, and we've got Steve Baxi.
Hello.
And the amazing DanzNewz.
I'm actually here this week.
Hi Dan, welcome back to the program.
Hi.
I feel like we're to a point now where every time Dan's on the program, it's been a while since we've seen him, so we have to say welcome back to the program.
Yeah, I like to have a triumphant return every other week. So that's kind of what I've been trying to do.
Dan, it's like I always say, if you can't make an entrance, there's no point in walking into a room.
There you go. That's absolutely true.
Dan, I'm glad you're back with us, and today we're going to talk about the latest episode, Harvey Dent. And I gotta tell you, I've been waiting, not like with bated breath or anything. I love doing the show with you guys, and I've been really happy with Gotham so far for the most part. But are we surprised that there's been no break yet? We're at episode 9, no break yet. Next week we're getting another one. I mean, like, I can't believe how many of these we're getting in a row before there's been any kind of a break. Nearly every other show I've been watching has had a break by now.
Well, next week's gonna be the last episode before the break. So next week's like the winter finale. Oh,
okay, so 10 in a row. Yeah. And originally the season was only supposed to have 16, and they ordered it all the way out to 22.
Yeah, they did the full season order. Yeah.
So anyway, let's talk about some questions and comments from last week, shall we? From The Mask, and Dan didn't get to weigh in on that show any more than telling us, make sure everybody knows I liked it. So we have decided, by the way, that if this ever happens again, we talked about this before the program, Dan's going to send me his notes, and Steve and I will read down his notes, which should be like, in fact, next time what we'll do, we will read them verbatim. It will be hilarious.
I'll just make sure to not show up and just give you guys my notes. Well, yeah, it was just a really abrupt thing. It wasn't planned. It was an abrupt thing. I had a friend coming into town, so I couldn't attend the show. So generally, I don't think that would be the case, that I would have notes but wouldn't be able to show up. But if it does happen, I will make sure to do that. If it happens
again, yeah. No, Dan, we're not trying to gang up on you because you missed a show, man. It's okay. Really.
Feels like it.
Dan's our Green Ranger. He shows up sporadically.
There you go.
Do you have like a candle that's like dwindling down and you're starting to lose your power? And is that happening, Dan? Oh, that's unfortunate, man. We should do something about that. Anyway,
Zora will give you something else to worry about.
Okay, so questions and comments about The Mask. CMP 1082. I didn't read the scene as the Penguin killing the lady for her brooch, just that the city is so bad he can walk up in broad daylight and steal it straight off someone's outfit. What sense would there have been to take her somewhere to kill her when she was apparently intimidated by him right there? Yes, he did kill for a sandwich, but that was after a near brush with death, and he was at his most animalistic. He's more cool and calculating in his current situation and frame of mind. I thought the way they shot that, though, that they kind of shot the brooch and then he went after it, but I only saw the episode once, so I might be remembering that wrong, but I sure thought that's what he was doing.
I thought it was a kill. I mean, they cut so abruptly as soon as he grabs her.
Oh no, it's a kill. It's a kill. He's just saying that he didn't kill her straight up just for the brooch, but he doesn't kill willy-nilly, right? He has reasons for things, so.
He's also generally had some sort of either cover or he didn't. I mean, that was broad daylight on the street. Like I didn't feel like he had killed her. I didn't get that vibe.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Hiding.
Oh, it's just that every time they cut, when the Penguin has a creepy look on his face, the person is almost always dead.
That's true.
So I guess I must have just made it I must have just made an assumption there, especially because later on, if memory serves, later on in the same episode, they did that cut and the person was dead.
Yeah.
But you may have a point. I had not thought of that. 666 Deadman 1988. Todd Stashwick played an undercover Romulan agent on Vulcan in the season 4 episode Kirshar of Enterprise. Good catch. I didn't notice that. I don't always catch all of the Star Trek alum, especially when they're random Romulans and they're in different face. But yeah, thanks for that. Bamboo. That's really this person's YouTube name. So if we see an early or soon-to-be Joker, wouldn't he be around Bruce's age, or maybe Penguin? I can't recall from the comics if they ever said how old he was. And that's one of the things with the Joker and keeping him really ambiguous is a lot of the time you don't know how old he is. And like not only do you not know where he comes from and who he is, but a lot of the time, I want to say it would be very difficult to tell, is he 10 years older than Batman, or is he 5 years younger than Batman? And I mean, you know that the white face makes it kind of hard to tell. So I think just since we don't know who it's going to be ever. I think that's very much up in the air. But since they're trying to introduce characters that could be the Joker, I think we have to assume that in this iteration he would be at least 10 years older.
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be a big deal necessarily. I mean, a lot of writers have like a mindset in mind of like what the Joker's age is, but no one ever says anything. It's not like Bruce Wayne where he's like definitively this is his birthday and this is how old he is.
Yeah. No, I've honestly never thought about the age difference between Joker and Batman.
I hadn't. Yeah.
It's never even come to mind. Just because like Joker generally seems like such a. I mean, he doesn't seem like a person to me, so it's like, I mean, he's not human. Like he just doesn't have an age to me. I mean, outside of like Mark Hamill's aging voice, like that's the only thing that I could really put a beat on. Outside of when I see like Joker in the video game and stuff like that, I'm not like he looks like he's 40 something. Like I never really even thought to peg an age on him.
Jeffrey McConnell, Captain Logan, what are your thoughts on the poor writing in this episode? Bruce starting on his violent path really should be held back a little later and used better, maybe in defending Selina at some point. Children can be terrible, but one of the richest kids on the planet whose parents just died would probably be getting super special treatment, or at least an extra watchful eye on him. It also bothers me that Barbara is getting pissy with Jem because he wasn't swooning over her. Well, yeah, okay. After she admitted she now knows what his world is like, and it's obviously not a cakewalk. I really hope this isn't going the way of obvious padding and silly drama like Walking Dead Season 2. Well, I think padding has been certainly happening with Barbara, but also I just don't feel like she's a well-realized character from the very beginning, so those two things are both together kind of problematic. What do you guys think about this idea, though, of just like it's not logical... It sounds like you're saying it's just not logical to do with Bruce what we're doing with him, like attacking the kid and all that.
I don't know if it's not logical. I mean, the sense I got is that he's going to a preppy private school and everyone there is rich because everyone's wearing that same uniform and it's all really fancy and such. So, I mean, it doesn't seem like Tommy is any poorer or richer than Bruce, at least not the way they've shot those scenes. And we don't even know if in this universe, if the Waynes are the richest family in Gotham. They just say they're one of. It is a little bit weird that someone will get picked on right after their parents got killed, but it's Gotham.
Yeah.
So, well, but Steve, as we talked about last week, I think that's personal for Tommy Elliott. I mean, I think
there's an idea behind that, but just like based on the evidence of the episode, I feel like it's not out of the realm of possibility for this show.
Well, and I guess what this guy's complaining about more is he just doesn't like that Bruce's violent path is beginning this early. And I think that clearly they want to continue moving in that direction, and they've got Selina Kyle in this episode telling him about how to be street smart. And that with the attitude he has right now and his ignorance and kind of naivety about the world, no matter how well he trains, if he goes out right now, he's gonna get he's gonna get his butt handed to him. I don't know. So far, I'm okay with it starting there. I guess part of the reason I hadn't thought to question it is because it really seemed like from the very beginning that's kind of the direction they wanted to take it.
Yeah. To me, it doesn't seem so much illogical. It just seems like
that was a word I used, beginning. But
yeah, for me, it has seemed a little rushed, but the path that Bruce has kind of been taking isn't necessarily the path that I would have it go or how I would think it would go, but I'm still kind of along with it. It's not really losing me. It just feels kind of a little rushed, but. I don't know.
Steve, do you think it's rushed?
It's hard to say because I feel like this is a completely gritty and realistic world, and yeah, it's rushed. There's no way that this would work logically in a real world, but this seems really heightened.
Stylized,
and Batman's always had that thing of I haven't been a kid since I was 8 years old and stuff like that, and this is that very literally.
Importantly,
have a problem with it.
As Steve and I keep talking about with this being a reimagining, I don't want to use that as a cop-out for everything, but clearly they want to have how Bruce gets to Batman be somewhat different than we've seen it before, and part of the way that it's doing that is what if he dealt with, was mentored by, was friends with, or enemies with certain characters early on, and they that in other continuities he wouldn't have known until he was Batman. How would that affect his development? And and I think that they're making an okay argument right now for it would make him develop faster, especially with Selina Kyle. And I don't know, like so far I'm kind of with it. I think part of the deal is, what would the alternative be? Because I think they're trying really hard to make this not Batman before Batman, as we keep talking about. This seems to me to be like kind of the wisdom here seems to be, well, let's give fans something with Bruce Wayne to latch onto that they're familiar with. Let's let them get to see his path to becoming Batman from the very beginning. So maybe it feels a little bit rushed right now, Dan. I don't know about that right now. For me, it's not. I mean, like for me, this particular version, his meeting some of these characters and dealing with them this early, I'm kind of buying it so far.
No, and I'm along with it. It's just, it feels to me like it's just kind of rushed. But I mean, it's not losing me.
Yeah, but I think I think you might be saying that because it's going against your expectations, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's more so just not how I would have thought it to be done. Not to mean it's bad. It's just it just seems a little rushed to me.
What a lot of people who resisted this whole idea in the first place were really resisting was, well, who cares about a 13-year-old Bruce Wayne? Where is the story there? It doesn't get interesting until he starts training, and so this show is saying, well, let's have him train earlier. Let's have some of that stuff happen. I mean, like, maybe this is going to be a good case for he can become Batman at 18 instead of having to go train around the world starting at 18 or 20 or whatever, and then he's not Batman until he's like in his mid-20s or whatever. So I don't know, like I want to reserve judgment until we continue to see where it's going, but for the moment, I'm with it. I think it's all right.
Yeah, I mean, 9
for
episodes
this context.
This show would make it a good case for doing something we've never seen with Batman before, because he's always happy when he's with his parents, and then he's older, and then he's broody, but we never get that in-between phase, and this show is doing a really good job, at least for me, of juggling, like, what's it like to be Batman at a young age and trying to be a kid at the same time, and what compromises you have to make along the way for that. Alfred wanting him to have a childhood, and Bruce wanting him to just grow up faster.
Kyle George, this episode is the one that officially makes me want to stop watching the show. It's awful, really terrible storytelling. I couldn't care less. I never really thought this premise would work, but it's really the way they handled it that makes it so terrible as a TV show. Way too much focus on villains, not enough on heroes, too much Bruce Wayne stuff, and I really resent starting the show with the death of the Waynes. What an obvious and completely uninspired choice on the showrunner's parts. I will no longer be watching Gotham because it makes me hate life. Wow! Alright, responses.
Extreme.
Very. I think some of that's a taste thing.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I don't know. I feel like everything he pointed out, I think the exact reverse of. I think it's an inspired choice to make the first shot of this show the fact that the Waynes died, and the whole show is about that ramification. And we talked a lot about that last week, about like, we don't get to see Gotham before the Waynes. So I don't know. I think it might just be a tasting there. I'm
enjoying how and again, taste issue. If you're not enjoying it, I totally understand that. But from, I don't know, for me, like as we talked about last week, Steve, I'm really enjoying how the show is kind of messing with not just my expectations but my perceptions of what I'm looking at, and it's not allowing me to see certain things yet. I got a message. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. I got a message from somebody about this very thing. No, I didn't write it down. I meant to put it in my notes here, and I apparently didn't do that. Anyway, so somebody sent me a message and was like, do you think they'll do flashbacks to before Gotham? Do you think we'll ever get there? And I think we will. Like the question was, and I'm sorry I didn't write it down. The question was, I thought I did, was if do you think that eventually we'll get any flashbacks to Thomas and Martha Wayne? I think eventually they will pull the curtain back a little bit, and especially with precedent from that Harvey Bullock episode. But I think right now, because of what they're doing with the gang war and Falcone and Fish and all that stuff, I think they're wanting to kind of skew and mess with our perceptions of it a little bit, so that we have this more kind of like surreal and weird look at the city. And I think that that maybe after that stuff happens, they might allow it to pull back a little bit.
Yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily want them to, but I feel like you can't keep the show going forever and not show some implications, like what Compass and Martha Wayne were doing beforehand. But I think it's all being handled really well so far. It's just a matter of, like, this show takes a bit of getting used to, and I'll give people that, because everything is just so different, and it's hard to remove the Batman baggage from it.
Yeah.
I just glanced at this comment and it cracked me up. This guy Dimitri J said Sarah was pregnant. Where the flux capacitor have I been? And it took me a minute to realize. Oh, you're talking about my wife. Oh, yes. Let's see here.
Congratulations, by the way. I wasn't here last week.
Hey, thanks. Yeah, because for a minute I was thinking about Barbara because we had all those conversations about whether or not she was pregnant. It's like, oh, you said Sarah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Feels like yesterday Jason was born.
Yeah, you and me both, man. All right, why don't we go ahead and... Oh, you know what? Let me read this last one. A lot of people down on last week's episode, Steve. Dallas Cade, this episode made me very mad. Bruce already wants to learn to fight over an unrealistic school bullying. Why not send him to Ra's al Ghul already, or at least don't make it about him being bullied? He just came back from school, and you think he is going to get teased about his parents dying. That would never happen in real life. Well, you were just saying, Steve, that seemed weird to you too. I thought she really loved him, and oh, I'm sorry, I think I just skipped a spot. I was like, what are we talking about? And Barbara leaving Jim over hanging up after she almost shot him. This is the same woman who risked her life to beg a mob boss to not kill him. I thought she really loved him. In a matter of what, 2 scenes she's gone. WTF, this is horrible writing, especially since it was just last episode she risked her life. This episode seemed forced and filled with unnecessary drama. I like the Black Mask, but was a little disappointed he got caught. Well, I agree with you on the Barbara stuff.
And I mean, the world could come to peace over how terrible Barbara is. So,
can I read some of my notes that I had regarding Barbara last week?
Please do, Dan. Yeah.
All right. So, I put Barbara's worst acting yet. Because you guys have been talking about her acting. That was the worst. When she was supposed to be playing like drunk but terrified and scared, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's not coming off like that at all. I also put she's also very stupid right after that. And then I put in all caps, Jesus Barbara. And then at the very end, I put in all caps as well. And looking at my notes, it's always, if it's all caps, it's about Barbara. I put, please leave him, please. And then she left him, so I was pretty happy about that. But then this episode,
but we'll Dan, don't be gullible, man, because the episode before that, I wrote favorite moment. She gets on a bus, and then I had to cross that out because she came back, and then when she came back, when she came back, it completely compromised what Gordon was doing.
Yeah.
And you were just like, if you just stayed away.
It's really symbolic for the show in general. It's symbolic for the show in general. Her presence just corrupts everything.
It does, because the thing is, that was an otherwise okay story-wise kind of episode, but now that I'm thinking about it, we didn't even say this, but like in that particular episode, how convenient is it that she comes back and they just immediately find her and then use her for use her for bait and stuff, like or not bait, but like
I'm not sure if that's fair though, because I think what happened with that episode was she actually came directly to Carmine Falcone to beg for Jim's life.
Oh, is that what it was? Oh, well, then she's really stupid. Okay,
yeah.
All right.
She's even more stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right.
I was talking to Spencer just before we started this. Her presence ruins episodes, and not only that, I really liked Viper, and then in the next episode, she's there at the beginning. I liked Viper because she wasn't there, and she almost ruined Viper for me just by being in the next episode.
The last 30 seconds of this episode made me dump down my letter grade for this episode by 1.
You've got
like, it's a branch lower because of her presence.
You've really gotta wonder how the same people who write nearly every other character usually fine or adequate or not even great, just like when it's adequate, she has never worked. Not one time have I seen a scene with her, and like Ben Edlund in his story in his script, the goat thing. The first 10 seconds on screen, I went, okay, clearly what she's saying right now, this is Ben Edlund trying to throw me a bone a little bit, and then she was as bad as she's ever been right at the end of that scene.
I think what happens is they leave gaps in the script where it's Jim and Gordon, and they just have the actress write the scene. And she's like, this would be good. This would be good.
Oh man, I hope that's not what's happening. Well,
one would hope.
Well, anyway, but we didn't comment on what he said about Bruce Wayne and thinking that it's overly dramatic for the whole school bullying thing, because that wouldn't happen. I did think that came kind of out of nowhere.
Oh yeah, that kid was way like super overboard. Like nobody's like that. Again, like Steve talks about, like it's a heightened universe. It is a heightened universe.
Yeah.
But like no kid is that mean. Like even little,
I mean, yeah, I don't want to speak in generalities. There might be somebody. It's just when you do something like that in fiction, regardless of whether or not we think that kind of thing really happens, it's all about making things believable inside the world you're looking at, right? Because we've seen the opposite happen in all kinds of things too, right? Where a writer could say, "Oh, that happens in real life," but it doesn't matter if it happens in real life. You can't make me believe it in your fiction. Then it's not believable. It doesn't matter. There was, I guess I just don't know how in that episode we would have given enough background for that kid without getting too far away from Bruce Wayne, for Tommy Elliott. And part of the problem is just what Steve and I, having read stuff about Hush, bring to the episode. And Steve, I think that we were maybe too easy on it because of what we bring, right? We are making some assumptions about that kid, and if we never see him again, that stuff didn't work. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's part of the problem with doing something on an ongoing series, like episode by episode. There were tons of things we could compliment that could go down later, or things we hated that could become better later.
Yeah, that's
if
the
they bring that kid in and they do some stuff with his psychology, then that episode is so much better. But like you said, if they don't and it was just a cameo, then yeah.
It really felt like they might do more with him down the line. Because Alfred called him by name and stuff like that. It just really seemed like it seemed less like throwing fans of Hush a bone, and more so like he's going to be back somehow.
See, and I'm not completely trusting that, only because Bruce is suddenly not still at the school this episode. I was a little surprised by that. When Bruce is and I guess we can go ahead and just get into today's episode. Harvey Dent. Bruce immediately. Now we're going into today's episode. You ready? Ready, friends? Ready? Okay, here we go.
Here we go.
So, whoa!
The episode.
Extreme quote. Anyway,
we need transitions like that.
But anyway, What was I talking about? Okay. So
I'm sorry,
Bruce is building his own curriculum, he says, in this episode, which I like. I like Bruce goes, "I'm going to teach myself," and he's ordering Gordon around. So no matter he's ordering Alfred around. So no matter what Alfred might think to bring to his school curriculum, Bruce is completely in charge of what he learns and how he learns it, and I really like that. I like that Batman is completely self-taught. He's until he goes and works with like monks and Ra's al Ghul and whatever. So but like when he said that, I was like, okay, so let me get this straight. Alfred says, yeah, because I want you to start like showing some emotion and grieving and going through the whole process. Go ahead and beat that guy up, and I'll even teach you how to fight. And because that's happened, Bruce goes, and I'm not going to that school anymore. Maybe he got expelled or something, but we needed to have been told that. Why did he decide not to go back to that school? Any ideas?
Yeah, that was one of my criticisms of, like, it's fine if you want to make Bruce homeschool, but there needed to be some kind of transition between last episode and this episode to make that work completely. Because it feels like there were people in that school that do sympathize with him and do like him. Like, there were those two girls that passed him by.
I got the sense that it was just the one kid in his posse that was the problem. So, especially once Bruce has put him in his place, I don't understand why he's not going back to that school. It seems like he kind of owned the place now. That's going too far, but you know what I mean. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's strange. I mean, I can understand Bruce not wanting to go to school, but I would figure, like, at least Alfred would in some ways force him to go there, since he is, at least on paper, his legal guardian.
Or at least suggest it. We needed a scene about it.
Yeah, it seems like something that probably was either cut or just ignored. I mean, I didn't particularly notice it, but then again, I didn't I had quick watched the episode last week, so I didn't really 100% think about it. But yeah, it seems like either probably something cut or it just overlooked, which is kind of not good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't care for that. I mean, I like that there is something in the series about Bruce almost went to a private school and then decided not to and schooled himself. I'm fine with that. Give me one scene about why he didn't go back.
Yeah, or just a line of dialogue or something.
Yeah, give me something about it. I thought that was kind of flimsy.
Yeah, and I mean, they didn't really need to make an excuse for it either, because it's not like Batman going to school is breaking the mold. Batman goes all the way through to college before he starts training in some versions. So
yeah, I mean, that would be fine. So let's go ahead and start with the namesake of the episode. It's Harvey Dent. Could we please stop randomly naming episodes about characters just because they happen to be in them?
Yeah, I know. Like, even in Selina Kyle, I think Selina Kyle was in the episode Selina Kyle more than Harvey Dent was in Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Selina Kyle was in this episode more than Harvey Dent. This should have been Selina Kyle, too.
The only reason it's called that is because this is the episode that introduces him, and Harvey Dent's a major character, and people are going to be excited to see Harvey Dent. I know some people don't like it when I complain about episode titles, like, it's just an episode title, who cares? But as I always say, the title is part of the piece. It matters a little bit, at least to me. I don't understand that. Why do we call it that?
That'd be like saying, like, a comic book title doesn't matter. Like, I mean... That's not true.
Yeah.
Like, it is part of, like you said, it's part of the piece.
What's the point of naming them as part of the piece? And I get that, like television is different than sometimes than other kind of art. We don't always think of it as art, but commercial art can still be art, and it's part of the piece. It's just how I feel about it. It's part of the piece. So I don't know. Like, let's not call it Harvey Dent unless Harvey Dent's more of the point of the thing, you know? It kind of was just introducing him. And let's go ahead and just talk about the character. I've got my reservations about it. Overall, I think the actor's solid.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think he's fine. I was somewhat put off right away by just we have to start with the coin flip thing. I guess only because, well, that's how we did it in Dark Knight. Like that's kind of what you're expecting.
Well, we're kind of going back to, like, the pilot way of doing it. Like, in this episode, he's got the coin flip, he's got the anger management issue, and every time he's in a scene, there's always a part of his face that's shaded. And then there's a scene where we have all three of those things at once. And, I mean, that's just unnecessary. You can do one or the other. Don't jump all of them in there to make us think that this is Two-Face in the future. That's just distracting.
Yeah, they were laying it on way too thick. Way too thick. I caught the same thing with the scene where he had the projector, he had shadow on one face, and the projector seemed to, like, distort his face on the other side. And I was just like, oh my god, really? Like, this is, like, way too thick. Also, the whole coin flipping thing, like, that, I think it was handled much better in The Dark Knight, because in this, there wasn't as much point to it. Like, you know, they had the whole I make my own luck that was drawn out between, like, half the movie of, you know, the reveal of that at the end. And it's just like, teens usually pick heads, and it's a double-sided coin. Hey, like, what if he called tails?
That could easily backfire.
Yeah, like, I want to see a situation where he does it, and a kid picks tails, and he's like, well, I'm not locking you up, but stay straight, you know, like, I don't get it.
Yeah, like, what does he do? Like pick it up and go, oh, good job, you picked the heads that I've decided is tails. You know, like, I liked the idea of we'll use the coin flip thing to show how much of a risk taker he is. That in some ways he is almost the, like, Mega Gordon. Like, he goes even farther than Gordon does with some things where even Gordon's like, wow, buddy, like, you're sure of yourself. You know, like I've jumped through fires, but you'd go into a building that was blowing up as you walked into it. I liked that about it, and then I liked that the idea that I think they're kind of foreshadowing that Gordon is probably going to come to trust Harvey Dent too much. Because we saw the other side of Harvey Dent, but Gordon didn't see that, and so he's starting to see Harvey as kind of like him on steroids. And what happens when he starts to trust him too much? He is another extreme personality, but Gordon doesn't realize just how extreme he is. All of that I like, okay, but you're right. The foreshadowing about the villain stuff going way too far, especially because it seemed gimmicky, and I have praised this show sometimes for not going there too much. Steve, I love what you said that it's back to the pilot way of doing it. Could we save the concealing part of his face and shadow thing until we know about the dark side? Maybe that would have been, because make get the audience more with you, more with him in how like gung ho, bright, I can fix everything he is, and then make us kind of. And this is just how I would have preferred it, I suppose. Like make us not expect that he already has that dark, so that when they go to the animated series Big Bad Harv direction, that comes out and we go, oh, holy crap! Like, I should have not seen it coming because they were doing what they thought was really artsy, symbolic stuff.
And I think
wasn't surprised by it.
At this point, is there's a million ways to do this version of the character better. Like in my mind, all you really had to do is just keep making him say stuff with bats, and Gordon comments on the fact that he makes too many bats, and you're done. That's it. Just keep that going, and it's over. You don't have to do the coin flip. You don't have to do the shadowed face. You don't have to do the dark side yet.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, we know who this character's supposed to be. It's not just the fact that his name is in the title, but his name is Harvey Dent, as Batman, and Dark Knight's one of the biggest things in film history, at least for the 2000s. We know who this guy is. They don't have to lay it on thick, because people will watch just because Harvey Dent's there, and there's a chance he'll become Two-Face. It's like they're trying to rope in an audience, and it's still the early 2000s, and people don't know people's secret identities now, but everyone does. There's no reason to pander to an audience that's already there.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like they're trying too hard. It's like, no, you got the job already, guys. Just like lay back and do it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was just weird how super enthusiastic he came out. Like you said, like Jim Gordon on crack sort of deal.
But I like that. Let me tell you what I like about it. Like Steve, I'm gonna disagree with you for a second and say that I like the Big Bad Harv thing. I like that it's already there. I like that he's so extreme.
It's too much at once.
Yeah,
that's totally fair. But I like that we have a more traditional version of Two-Face. I mean, of that character here. But I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dan.
Oh no, I was just I felt like just he's so enthusiastic about doing this. How is he still alive? Because we've seen that Gordon really has to walk. He has to walk a really tight line and play this game really well. And like the second Harvey Dent is introduced, he's like, I want to take down this big corrupt bad guy. I want to take him down. Like, how is he still alive, and how did he get to where he is now when we've seen how Gotham works?
I have an answer for you.
Okay.
And that answer, if I'm right about it, it actually makes a lot more sense than why in the world Alan and Montoya are still alive. Because we've been wondering about them too. It's because of the other side. It's because he's intimidating. It's because he can
play the dark side.
He can play the other side of it, and he can manipulate people to the point of nobody that he doesn't want to know he has that dark side knows about it, because the people that know about it are too scared to say anything. That's what I would imagine they're doing. We haven't had enough yet. That's not in it yet. I think that's where they're going.
I could see that working that way.
I think that's where they'll go with it.
It still gives me the reservation, though, of this city is not as bad as we thought it was. Because now we've got good cops between Bullock, Gordon, and the captain in the GCPD. And then the major crimes unit's got Montoya and Allen, and now the district attorney's office has got Harvey Dent. We're proving that if you're a good guy, you can still climb up the ladder. And it doesn't seem to work as well then. I'm
gonna fight you on that a little bit, because Essen plays by the rules of Gotham. She's when you lump Essen in there, she was ready to go along with Gordon killing Penguin. Like she would like to be a good, but just like Harvey Dent, like you gotta rope Bullock in there if you're gonna rope her in there. But then looking at Montoya and Allen are my big questions. Harvey Dent, once again, how good is he really? I mean, he's got the side that wants to be super good, but then obviously he's in some ways already Two-Face, and people just don't know it yet. So I mean, like, I don't think we know enough to say that his being good has anything to do with his getting where he is.
Yeah, my criticism is
or very much.
There are more good people in this city than the show is led on.
But I don't think it's so much about how good they are as whether or not they're willing to play the game. And the only
that's the problem though. Like, because Gordon says, like, you're the only decent man in Gotham, and clearly he's not.
Yeah, no, that's dumb. But that's a matter of just a line of dialogue somebody shouldn't have written. I don't
like. It's a consistent theme though, right? Like the theme of an entire episode was like, you can't trust an honest man, and Gordon's the honest man, and everyone's like attacking Gordon. All the factions were after him for a while because he's the only good guy, but he's not.
But that's always been true. That's not new. That's just a Montoya and Allen thing. I don't think this episode is making that any more of a problem than it ever has been.
No, it's just it's easier to see now. Like the seams of that are starting to show at this point, I think.
Okay, fair enough. I don't feel like I can rope Harvey in there yet. Harvey Dent in there yet. By the way, so at what point? But then again, everybody thinks he's better than he really is because of that other side. So I don't know. You may be onto something. At what point are we gonna make a joke about the fact that we have 2 Harveys in this show?
It's a common name. It's like John in Gotham.
We just got Harvey. Suddenly Harvey Birdman shows up, and you're like, oh yeah, District Attorney at Law, Harvey Birdman. Yeah. Okay. What else should we like? Let's go ahead and talk about the Bruce Selina stuff. I liked their first meeting a lot. I thought that
I liked cool. A lot of their stuff a lot throughout this episode.
I think they have instant chemistry. I like them. I think Steve, you and I have been looking for a place where this show completely breaks Batman expectations and goes a different way. I think in some ways it just did it with them, just because they're she's going to be part of his training. She's going to have a lot to do with why he becomes who he is, and we were expecting that, but now it's more formalized.
Yeah, it's the opposite of the year 1 thing of instead of Batman inspiring Catwoman in ways is going to inspire Batman.
It looks like potentially
the show's been doing a lot of that with like taking on Year 1, taking on Earth 1 and stuff like that, just turning all those relationships on their head a little bit. Everything I thought with Selina and Bruce was just great. Like one of their scenes is my favorite moment.
Oh, good. Okay, cool.
I love the food fight scene. I think the fact that Alfred enjoys that.
I was surprised I liked that.
With what we've seen with that guy before, I think all of that's just greatly nuanced.
That worked. And this is gonna sound really funny. Part of the reason it worked for me is because it was all dry food. I hate food fights. I hate them. They drive me crazy. I don't want to see people get gross. I don't like it.
Loaves of bread. Yeah,
just
little chunks of bread.
They're throwing donuts and croissants, and they're not even filled or have any frosting on them. Yay! So that was fun. Yeah, that scene started to really work for me when Gordon walked in. Gordon. I keep calling. Why do I keep doing that? When Alfred walked in. Alfred Gordon. James Pennyworth. But yeah, so when Alfred walks in and for a minute he's got a look on his face like, oh, you're breaking stuff, and then it turned into no, this is really good. I thought the breath of fresh air line was maybe going a little far, just because it was like one thing that just now happened, and it was like, yay, they're throwing food at each other. Now I'm really glad she's here. I thought that was maybe going a little too far, but
maybe. I think what it is though is like the most childish thing he did up to this point is beat up a kid, and now he's literally almost like kill a kid. Yeah. And now he's literally throwing food around with a girl and betting that he's going to be able to kiss her. Like, if that's not 12-year-old childish...
Yeah. I think he recognizes the kind of humanity she's bringing back out in him.
Now he's doing normal
I love the fact that this Batman has to deal with, I want to be trapped in my darkness, but I'm still a kid and I can't escape that just because of biology. Like, I have fun with things, and things are juvenile, and some things are inappropriate and immature, but I still enjoy them.
That's making him a lot more real. I think it would be very hard to sympathize with him, or harder, if he was just the straight up hardened Batman Bruce Wayne from the very beginning. And never did anything, and never had any fun. I needed early on, what was it, 3rd or 4th episode, the sword fight when he was fencing with Alfred. I needed that.
Yeah, no, the kid, like, he's come off for me a lot. Like, I had a note last episode that was Bruce is a robot, and then a little bit later, like, he did something that, okay, he has humanity in him, and that's something that kind of the show has focused more up to this point, more so on the very calculating Bruce, trying to understand the world, understand how it works, and so he can, kind of overcome it and become Batman down the line. And I felt like just these little human things they keep dropping in, because it feels like Selina and Alfred are his roots to humanity. Otherwise, he would be just this kid who's focused narrowly on just becoming this guy who can fix the world, essentially. But yeah.
Well, and in this version, like, it's not circumstantial either, Like, it's not Bruce's parents died and he was just trapped and became Batman. They're leaving it open to that now Bruce has to choose to be sad. It's not a curse anymore. Yeah. It's literally, you can be happy or you can be sad for the rest of your life. What's more worth it?
I guess the question I gotta ask you when you bring that up then is if he's got tunnel vision later, where he forces himself to keep going in that direction, but we're seeing these conflicted places where he can't help but be a kid, but he doesn't want to. It's like there's this war going on within him. The idea with Batman was always that for some reason Bruce Wayne seems to be the only person capable of attacking the world the way he does after, like, lots of people's parents get killed, but he is, but like he's the one person that like he's almost like Dan, I can't remember if you said this on camera, but he's almost inhuman. He like his superpower is his ability to put his own humanity aside for what he sees as the greater good, and he becomes this. He's like so obsessed, like so obsessed. Steve, if they're doing it the way they're doing it, will we still be able to buy that he turns into what we know as Batman or something close to that when nobody else could? When nobody else ever has.
I think we could.
Yeah.
He is PG-13, the Batman. He's Scott Snyder's version of Batman, but much younger. It's almost the same thing in that respect of Bruce has options and he's got resources and he has to choose what he wants to do with that. Superhero enthusiasts linked me to this really great picture I saw of essentially Batman in a lot of ways is like John Rawls' Justice of everyone in Gotham is economically disadvantaged, and because Bruce has all of this money and wealth, the way he makes the world fair is by consolidating all the power to his side and then giving back and making the lives of everyone else better. And so it works because at that point the way Bruce becomes Batman is that not only does he have like an ethical theory, like a moral choice of like this is my guiding light and I won't break it, but he's literally weighing the options of what works and what's advantages and what's the right thing to do. And it's not like this abstract notion of I do it because I'm Batman.
And I can do it because I'm Batman. Yeah. Yeah, sure. I imagine some people will question it. As we move forward. Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
I feel like there's still some events that could definitely lead down to him kind of becoming more brooding, more. It seems like right now it's kind of a happier path, but I don't see Selina sticking around. He could definitely develop some sort of attachment with her, and that could kind of damage him even more if that does not play out well down the line. But yeah, no, I
do think that the more I'm thinking about it, a version of Bruce Wayne where Selina or a version of that relationship where he and Selina knew each other when they were 12 is kind of interesting, extrapolating into the future and trying to imagine what that relationship is like. Yeah. And of course, we have that thing where so many people are going to know who Batman is before he ever puts the costume on. And that will continue to be an issue as we move forward. I don't know how, even 9 episodes in, he puts the cowl on at the end and has anything like the same kind of dynamic with the city that he usually does. Maybe it doesn't matter. I almost wonder if it wouldn't be smarter, just where we are right now, if it wouldn't be smarter to end the series not ever going Batman. You know what I mean? Like just have him get to he could be a vigilante now, and then like that's instead of doing the token and now he puts the suit on thing. 'Cause I don't know. It seems like 45 people by the end of the series is going to know who Batman is before he ever even calls himself that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you said. Like we were always talking about this show trying to diverge from Batman mythology, and this is kind of where it's doing it.
Yeah.
This could be a universe where Batman doesn't have a very good secret identity. This could be a universe where Batman's not good at what he's doing, or that there's a network of people that help him even before he becomes Batman. I mean, all that. I think. We are still extrapolating to a point because we all assume everyone's going to fill into their role.
Yeah.
But this show could very easily just kill anyone off or change anyone's direction and still be the same show. And still work in the mythology. So I think that was more of a criticism we would have back in the pilot because we weren't sure where this is going.
Yeah.
But given how different it is already, I almost don't mind it.
I mean, I guess we're just going to have to see. Yeah.
Yeah.
I really think it's important. It's important to note that it is almost impossible to enjoy this show for what it is if you keep going, yeah, but Batman I know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because it's not going to be the same thing, and that's fine as long as it allows itself to not be the same thing. I just feel like eventually it's going to have some really hard choices to make in how courageous it's going to be about that direction, and I don't completely trust it yet to go where to allow the characters to drive it and not expectations and mythology. Hoping it does that. So far, it kind of has, but I'm just saying that, like, down the road, when we get to a 4th or a 5th season of this, just curious. I don't know. I'm just curious, looking forward as to what that's going to be.
I think Steve is right. Any character could die at any moment. I'm pretty sure that guy with the sandwich in the first episode was the Joker. So. Oh,
you think so? You think that's what that was?
I love the fact that the Joker's just fishing with the sandwich. It's great.
Who fishes with a sandwich like that?
Speaking of fish,
anybody who's hungry, I guess.
I guess
transition.
I just want to address Selina Kyle real quick.
You broke my segue, dude.
That was the perfect segue. I just brought up a fisherman.
Well, cats eat fish.
Oh, okay. Just remember that.
Okay. So you're gonna erase my segue and then put it in a slightly.
Just take your segue and ride off.
Just a slightly lesser. My segue is better than your segue, man.
There you go.
All right, go.
My
segue could beat up your segue. Sorry, go ahead, Steve.
The line with Selina and Bruce, where she's like, I have a huge family, and she's like a secret agent, or she's an actress, or things like that. I really like that, because that's definitely a child thing to do. That's what someone like Bruce would do. That's what orphans do. They imagine their parents as something they can't possibly be, because it fills that void a little bit and gives them purpose. And that's exactly what we wanted the show to do last episode, of touch a little bit on child psychology.
Yeah.
And it's kind of doing that. I was surprised, like, there is some commentary on stuff outside of just Gotham in this episode, like of the prison system and of orphans and of mental illness and stuff. And it's not driven by its own characters and its own story. It's talking about things. It's got social commentary. It's subtle and it's small, but it's there, and I really latched onto that.
They're also doing a good job of creating a mystery there, because we don't exactly know what Selina's family is like. I don't want to completely make the assumption she is an orphan. It could be just as much that she wants to. She wishes she could see her parents as her real parents, but they abandon her and don't take care of her. Like, maybe they are around. Maybe they are. Maybe one of them is somewhere. We don't really know right now. It could be as much that she was abandoned and she's allowing herself to be in denial about it by saying, "Oh, well, my mother left me for a good reason. She's a secret agent." I'm just saying, Steve, I don't think we can go far enough for this to say we do have 2 orphans here. I'm not sure. I would be a little bit surprised if they went there, because that is clearly the thing to bring these characters together, is that they're both orphans. But abandonment could still be a thing that brings them together too. I don't think Bruce blames his parents for leaving him. He blames himself for letting them get killed. But this idea of neither of them has their parents around could be enough. So I could see them going either way with it.
Yeah, they've got that connection in line. If Selina's not ready to accept certain things, then maybe she's right for her, maybe she's not, and that's the mystery.
Yeah.
But even so, like, there's technical circumstances of she doesn't have parents,
right,
and so she is an orphan, and she's dealing with it in that way. Maybe there's denial there, or maybe there's truth there. But regardless, she fits into the city and tries to work with it so she can maybe eventually get closure on the subject. And Bruce, at the moment, who's dealing with that who's trying to deal with that closure, he's not getting it. It's not working for him, and so he's trying to train himself. He's not being a kid. He's trying to be Batman. Selina brings the childishness to him, because in a way, even though he's surrounded by all this money and all this power and stuff, he's still a fish out of water.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting too that you bring up all the child psychology with her, because she is forced to take care of herself and to figure out how to survive. So I mean, she also has that in common with Bruce, that they're both children, but in a lot of ways neither of them wants to admit that they're children. And I think that even though she makes up that stuff and she helps bring that childlike side out of Bruce, I think there's still a part of her her that a major part of her that doesn't look at herself like a guy. I can take care of myself. I don't need anyone. You know, she's got that going on too. So I mean, she's had to grow up really fast, and she's been forced to, as far as we know, while Bruce simply, you know, I mean, while Bruce wants to do that, and so like he's gonna look up to her for the things that she can do that he wishes he could do. It'll be interesting to see what about him appeals to her, because so far it seems to mostly it seemed to start off as hey, you have everything. You know, like, why is your life that hard? But I guess the thing that she does where they do kind of relate to each other is just that he lost his parents just like she did.
Yeah, I feel like, and this is something that was kind of subtle, but we've kind of touched on it before about how sensitive she is about her name. She tells everybody to call her Kat, and the first thing she says to Bruce is, "My name is Selina Kyle." Like she says her name. She said, "My friends call me Kat," but I feel like there's a level of like either empathy or trust there, just between them, just kind of inherently. I thought it was interesting. And
she admits vulnerability when she's Selina Kyle, and that's why she and Bruce click so well. But when she's an adult out on the streets taking care of herself and pretending she's not a kid, she's Kat.
Yeah. I think ultimate plot twist, Barbara is her mother.
Oh God, if they do that, sorry guys, we're done after that. I'm just kidding.
I would have to.
It's Montoya and Barbara's daughter.
Oh no! Don't say that.
Oh my God, no.
And then Bruce is like, well, you've said a lot about your mother. What about your dad? And she's like, we don't talk about my dad. And then she just storms out. Okay, anyway, so before we get to that stuff, because I just want to make you guys wait on that, because I can't, because it'll be funny when we get there. So we got a guy named Lovecraft now. That's funny to me, because there's a lot of Lovecraftian imagery just in the whole Gotham thing in the first place. It's kind of funny that we have a guy that just straight up they call Lovecraft. I mean, that's his last name, and nobody even mentions, oh yeah, this whole city is a little H.P. Lovecraft, isn't it? That's kind of amusing. Next episode, I think, is called Lovecraft. So it'll be interesting to see what exactly they're doing with him. Do you guys think that he is in any way related to the Wayne murders? I think that might be too simple. I think it's very possible that he had nothing to do with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it might very well be Harvey Dent just doing things too quickly, rushing to judgment, being the risk taker that Gordon is to an extreme, and maybe he's wrong.
Yeah.
Or maybe like he uncovers something else and different entirely. Like Lovecraft's part of something that's much, much bigger, and it may not even have anything to do with the Wayne murders. Because Dr. Lovecraft's a character from the comics that's part of a different corrupt company and a corrupt industry. And you could very easily rope that into the show.
I didn't know that there was Lovecraft in the comics. I should have looked that up.
There is, yeah. It's an 80s thing, I think. I'm not sure if they've ever showed up before or after that, but it's only been like one or two stories with them.
So is it supposed to be the same character? Do we know?
I don't think so. I'm not sure. Because the guy in the comics is literally just Dr. Lovecraft. I'm not even sure there's a first name for him.
Oh, okay. But it might be that guy who knows.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah. I am getting very intrigued by all the things that we're learning about the Waynes and who their enemies were and that kind of stuff. And again, I know we keep harping on this, but I'm enjoying that more because we didn't see them. I'm really digging that. I like that my imagination is kind of working overtime, trying to piece everything together and get
because you never really get a feeling
of
who they were. Like. Yeah. Outside of characters talking about them, we don't know if they were kind of seedy or if we don't really know. I felt like when they started to touch on a little bit with Viper about Wayne Enterprises and involvement and stuff like that in kind of illegal activities, I wish kind of they would go more that route and explore that a little bit more, because that had me intrigued. Like, oh, Thomas and Martha Wayne might not have been the best people, but I don't know. It was interesting.
And see, I think that they want you to be frustrated about that. I think that I think this is a place I do trust the show. I think they are throwing you scraps right now, so that when it all comes together, they can really surprise us with it, with whatever the actual conspiracy to kill them ended up really being. But yeah, I think we're going to learn a lot more about that stuff next episode with that guy, actually. I'm glad they introduced him first. And then I found myself a little bit surprised that this is the first we've heard of this guy, because he seems really important to just suddenly his name has been dropped in this episode.
Came out of nowhere. He came out of nowhere almost as much as Harvey came out of nowhere.
Yeah, Harvey Dent brought him with him into this episode.
Exactly, it's just like,
and I don't know if that's a problem or not. It makes me wonder if how much this was in the plan from the beginning, or if they are still kind of scripting this mystery as they go along. Like was this in the back of their minds when they started this conspiracy, or are they kind of flying by the seat of their pants? And let's include this Lovecraft guy. I don't know.
Yeah, like we were talking earlier, they only had an order of 16 episodes before, wasn't it? And then it got up to 22. So, I mean, you can only plan so much when you know how long you have to go for. And so, I mean, it was either maybe something they had thought out but not incorporated until a certain point. But it really feels like, although they are doing a little bit of pre-setup, it seems like rushed pre-setup for it.
Considering that this is mostly I mean, we've got our one-and-done episodes, but we're constantly pushing the larger story. Considering this is mostly a one big serialized narrative, I wonder what that did to the writing going from 16 to 22. I wonder how early they knew about that. If you knew that from the beginning, you could stretch it without it feeling stretched. But I wonder if there won't be some stretching. As we continue on, where we go, "Ooh, that was kind of extraneous." But then if they do some more really good, solid mostly one and dones while we're continuing, like here's a thread we'll do a little bit with this episode, then it won't matter. They can get away with those.
And I mean, they've gotten away with them for me. Dropping only limited information for every bit of the Wayne murder evidence.
Yeah.
Like even since the pilot we got 3 things to go on. And even up to episode 9, there's only 1 or 2 that's been added to that list. We still don't know a lot. We know things are moving around, but there's still not a macro picture of what the floor is like. So it's very possible that they could stretch it out and it would still feel natural.
And I think that one of the things that helped that a lot was not letting the case stay open. It's like, well, how much could we know about it while nobody's letting Gordon investigate it?
Yeah.
And I mean, the show's got a lot of elements it's still working with. Bruce is still researching Wayne Industries to see what's going on. There was that phone call that woman made at the board that Bruce wanted to meet. There's still stuff about, what's Maroni doing all this time now that the Arkham project got divided between both of them. And Arkham was in the background of this episode. So, I mean, I feel like they've got a lot to work with. Maybe because the producers of the show have a history of Fox, and I'm pretty sure they probably knew that they were going to get a full season order. So maybe they didn't even plan it for 16. There might be a bigger picture here from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Considering that Netflix, as soon as they found out about the show, immediately started throwing money at it, they had to have assumed they'd get renewed.
Yeah.
Because even if Fox canceled them, Netflix would probably pick them up. They threw millions of dollars at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Netflix would be the place to go for Marvel and DC content. They would have the monopoly.
Yeah. So how let's switch gears and jump to some other stuff. How random is Edward Nygma every single time he's on screen? He's so
you guys like video
random.
Games, right?
You guys like video games, right? That never went anywhere. That was so random.
You know what? I rewound it just to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, was that what?
I don't know if I like that or hate that.
I feel like this is a bigger picture thing. I really feel there is going to be down the line, you are going to be able to, there's going to be one big master plan episode where he kind of starts to orchestrate stuff. And there's going to be little things throughout the entire series that's going to, you'd be able to piece it together. Because, I mean, they're going so heavy with this randomness.
Especially in this episode. Because you have that, and then they spent an odd amount of time on his answering questions on a radio quiz show.
Yeah.
It's we get it. He knows everything. Okay. Why are we spending time? And I want to reserve judgment because, as you said, they could be going somewhere with it. But is it possible that it's just that it's just as much we love writing really eccentric Edward Nygma?
Could it be that if it doesn't go anywhere, I'd be really disappointed.
So far, the thing with with the girl a couple episodes ago in the filing room was kind of random and nothing.
That episode or that discussions, but it was.
We've
random.
Not seen her again. I don't. Steve, what is going on? What is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, even if they have a bigger picture, it still hurts this episode a lot because we got this extremely out of nowhere Harvey Dent intro where he's just doing overtly Harvey Dent things for no reason, and then we shoehorn in Edward Nygma, and Selina and Bruce are in this episode, and some of that's handled really well, but it's too much at once, and it's frustrating to just watch this episode by itself because you know there are elements that aren't going anywhere yet.
Yeah, and it doesn't feel like a whole piece. But that's the problem, though, is that it can't fully. Like, I would say that as long as there's something going on there, and I don't trust that, but as long as there's something going on with that stuff, it's okay because this has never been a straight up. Here's a solid 45-minute episode that anybody can sit down and watch kind of show. It has never been that way. The closest we get are the first couple after the pilot because we're not pushing the larger narrative along that hard yet, right? Like the Balloon Men pretty well standalone, but that's like the third episode. This one, you could say the same thing, Steve, about the thing with the Penguin because that's all about pushing forward the larger story, and then of course you find out that everything going on with the explosion guy and everything, the bomber. I'm so articulate today. The explosion guy. That all is another fish trying to hurt Falcone thing. So this is not a one and done episode anyway. But you are right that the Nygma stuff hurts just the overall story if it's just random and look how weird and eclectic this guy is. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not a reflection of every other part of the show that dives into different factions because the show does that a lot anyway.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of there's one in a set that doesn't belong.
Yeah.
And it makes it really distressing.
No, one of these things is not like the others. That is absolutely the case, yeah.
To coin a term.
And I can't decide if like I said, I couldn't decide while I was watching it if it was bugging me or not because it's done it before. And that makes me think that there might be a reason. I just don't know. The video game thing was so... You guys like video games. Like, what if it's so... What if Riddler is so meta? I think Riddler's the Deadpool of the show. I think he knows he's in a TV show. And I'm kidding. And what if later on we found out that all of these things are like somehow he always knows he's being watched by an audience in every scene he's in, and when you get to the end of the season you find out that there's actually been this big giant elaborate riddle all along that you were supposed to be trying to solve, and that all of the things we've seen with him all add up to something.
Have you seen in the promotional stuff at the end of a lot of when they reveal the Gotham logo in the background there is a question mark. There is a lit up question mark, and it's just like the Riddler's not that big in the show. Why is that even it seems somewhat big there? And I'm like, why is that there?
Let's not read too far into any of the promotional material though, because there's also been a blimp, and there's no blimp.
That's true.
We've never in the show one time seen a blimp. I mean, I know that that's a animated series thing and a Batman thing in general. There's often a big giant 1930s type Zeppelin flying around in Gotham. Yeah. We've not seen one of those ever. So yeah, no, I wondered about that. I wondered before the show started what the whole deal was with you with the question mark.
I thought I was curious, but
somebody making that promotional material played Arkham City. You know they did.
Yeah. There you go. That's what I think when I see it. I was just like, there should be a lot more of those everywhere scattered about.
There should be just one episode that's just Selina Kyle. The teaser is she's in the sewer hiding from someone, and then one of those is sitting behind her like a Riddler trophy. And she goes, "What is this?"
It's enclosed in one of the little pod things,
and she has to figure out how to get it. And then all of a sudden, it opens her whole world, and she realizes that there's 350 of them all over the city, and she has to spend the whole episode trying to find them. That would be amazing.
Anyway, speaking of fish...
Go ahead. Yeah. Speaking of fish...
I was helping your transition here.
That transition from nothing.
I worked in a fish out of water somewhere in my weird monologue. So
you were hoping to try to get it.
Yeah, I was thinking about the whole time Cap was talking. How can I get fish out of water in here?
I like that. I like two big things about the main kind of villain plot in this, and it's not even really a villain plot. It's you've got you've got another new random bad guy type character, but he is not actually evil, and he doesn't have the same thing. I'm talking the munitions guy. We don't have the same thing.
The explosion man.
The explosion guy. I like that we don't have the same thing we do so often with those, where at the end he gives you his worldview in 15 seconds. I like he was somewhat sympathetic. I liked that. I thought he was really good, and I liked that Fish Mooney was behind it, because it wasn't another just kind of random crime that had to be solved, but was about the overarching story. I thought all that worked fine.
I also felt that character had some layers to him, because he was sympathetic, but like, he seemed to, even though he was being forced to do this bomb, when he blew up the guys in that security box, he seemed to kind of enjoy it a little bit on some level. To me, at least. I don't know if you guys got that, but like, he seemed sympathetic about doing it, but at the same time, when it was happening, he seemed kind of into it.
I was not familiar with that actor, and I wrote him down. Give me a second. He is... he was in Person of Interest and Law and Order SVU and lots of stuff. Just things I haven't seen. I thought that guy was a really good actor, because Dan, I saw a couple of things in his face during that.
Really subtle.
I thought it was very subtle. It was really layered. I thought he had a really good sense of that character and brought something that could have been like really kind of generic off the page and turned it into something. Because when he blows, we see him blow up a couple of things, and whenever he does that, what I'm seeing in his face is a conflicted mixture of joy and regret. And I don't know how he managed to play that, but I thought he was fantastic. And and I really liked his brother, his brother's dialogue to Gordon about how there's a difference between somebody who is evil and somebody who's sick. And this guy is just sick, and there seems to be a part of him that knows it, where he knows this is bad. He's trying to not be that guy anymore, and I really like that. This show has given us a lot of just psychopaths or really screwed up characters. Here's a guy who is screwed up, and yet he's still got a conscience. He's still got a soul. There's somebody in there. I loved that. I thought he was great.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve. No, I was just gonna say I really liked how because the show kind of takes some leaps sometimes when it comes to Gordon and Bullock finding either where the bad guys are or something like that. It's like, there's 40 warehouses we have to search. Let's split up and search them, and then one of them will happen to find it pretty quickly. But like this, like he had taken the plaque off of one of the things, and it helped him find the place that he was in. And I thought that was a bit better than searching warehouses like they always seem to do a lot of the time. Anyway, that was just a small point I wanted to bring up. Steve.
No, I agree. That frustrates me with every episode. This one finally did it pretty well.
But then later it goes right back to it. But
it tries.
Yeah,
it's better than Barbara. Anyway,
it's going. Don't fall back on warehouses, but we love warehouses.
I like what you mentioned before, though. Like that his brother has that line of, he's not evil or he's not insane. He's just sick. And then he's just part of a power play for Fish Mooney, and then he's part of a power play for the mayor to get Arkham working and stuff. And there's a really nice commentary there, and because Gordon has like a line to the mayor, and he has convictions about it, about the fact like you aren't helping these people, you're just throwing them into mental asylums and such to make yourself look good. And it's a really neat commentary on that fact that we throw people in prison, we have all these mental institutions, but the fact that any of them actually get better, there's no discussion of that. It doesn't happen very often, and it's clearly a problem. Like, the city's infrastructure is just as sick as its criminals, and in turn it's making more sick criminals.
Yeah, I mean, how cynical are we as a society? Maybe this is getting too political, and I try not to do that on the show, but how cynical does society sometimes seem to be about like whether or not people can even be rehabilitated? We don't hear about rehabilitation all that often, do we? And in this episode, I bring it up because this episode is as you said, commenting on that. We use Batman villains. We kind of enjoy the somewhat two-dimensional psychoticness of of Batman villains sometimes, don't we? Where we're like we can sort of explore a dark part of the human psyche, but how often do we not really see them as real people? Like once they've gotten past their humanity, they've gotten kind of psychotic, and now we can kind of play with them like a really screwed up kind of prop. That's kind of fun for us, but isn't it important to sometimes say, but there often is still a person in there? And I like that this episode did that, because we have had characters earlier in the season that have just been two-dimensional and really screwed up, and we've been playing with that and enjoying that.
Yeah, and I think part of why it works also is that this guy doesn't have like a layered backstory or anything. He's got layered acting, but most of what we get from him is by other people that know him, or the people that are using him, or the newscasts are saying him. People prop him up to be something, and inadvertently he becomes that, but there's still a problem there that no one's addressing, and that's not just an issue with this guy in Gotham, but it's also an issue in the world that the show is looking back on. I really like it's like the Iron Man 3 thing of we make our own worst enemies because we prop them up as enemies and nothing more than that.
Yeah, oversimplification. They really subverted my expectations with that guy, because, first of all, I'm always really impressed when you can make a sympathetic character out of someone who has done really vile and horrible things that you could not begin to appreciate or sympathize with. And when his brother started talking about like, his brother lies in the first place and says that like what he did was an accident, and then he kind of changes his tune as it goes along. I didn't trust that guy. I didn't expect anything he said to turn out to be true. And when it turned out that his brother really was broken out and he had no intention of leaving, and that he was being kind of forced into servitude and all of that, I was really with him. I felt bad for him. I'm not saying release him and put him out on the street, but like, he didn't deserve what happened to him. I'm always really and that's I'm always saying like making a character sympathetic is not about whether or not I like them. I talk about likability just in a taste issue thing of, okay, I don't like Barbara. They could make me sympathize with her even though I don't like her. This is a guy that you can't straight up say, he's a good guy, I like him, I'd go have lunch with him. But you sympathize with him because you can, to some degree, even with what little information you have about him, it feels believable that he got to where he got, and also that he does what he does in this episode.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, I agree.
So speaking of fish, isn't it hilarious when Penguin goes to Fish and is just like, I'm just here to say hi.
And sniff you.
And sniffs her and leaves. And at first I was like, okay, so what was the point of that? And then I was like, I think he really was just making sure that he remembered that she puts on perfume that smells like lilac. And that's the only reason he was there. But he made such a theatrical deal. I go, like, really? Like, did you have to do it like that? Why did he do it like that? I guess just to kind of freak her out, and because they're enemies. He knows they're enemies. There's nothing he's going to do to be able to make this relationship. So why not make a big deal out of it?
Yeah.
That scene was weird and hilarious.
It was definitely strange.
Very. I like to echo her henchman of that guy does give me the creep sometimes.
This was one of those times where it's like, at least kind of earlier on, mainly more so for that scene where, yeah, a lot of the time it's kind of tough to get into his head and figure out exactly what's going on, and you can see the cogs working in his head and stuff like that. That scene, it was just like, what the hell is he doing? That was more so like that was really unexpected. I did not expect that.
But I still think that looking at the situation and what he was doing earlier, we can tell what.
Oh yeah. It was more so just like, why would he go about it that way? It was more so what I was thinking.
And I can see, like, scenes like this is why people lose the show. Because it is weird, and you have to trust the show a little bit that it's going to do something with that later on. And if you can't roll with the weirdness of it, you're not going to enjoy the show, and that's fair. Because it's a really weird scene to watch. It's just a matter of, like, do you trust the show to stick with it?
Can we also all agree that this kind of show is not for everybody?
No, it's not.
Definitely.
This is not going to be everybody's cup of tea. It's too weird. I mean, my wife won't watch it. She saw the pilot. She thought it was too violent for her. Like she was just like, now in my wife's defense, she's watching Constantine.
Ooh.
Yeah.
She loves Constantine, and that's that show's a little violent for her too. But she's so with that character, she can deal with it. She can get past it.
Doesn't she love Sin City?
I know. It's here's the thing. If it's stylized enough for her taste,
that is very
she can deal with it. Gotham, I keep telling her, well, it's stylized. She's like, yeah, but it's still too rough.
Yeah, it does have it has a raw element to it as well. Like it is stylized, but like last week, Penguin getting the brooch through his hand and stuff like that. Like, I mean, that's very real. It was like, ow, like that's something that's not like, you know, Marv punching somebody and all their teeth flying out. It's more so like that's something that looks like it's really happening.
Yeah, and we're also not doing it in silhouette, and the blood's not like white
or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go ahead and go on to best moment, worst moment. Hey, Dan, what was your favorite moment of the episode?
My favorite moment, and we already kind of echoed it earlier a little bit, the food fight. I really liked the food fight. When I originally wrote my note for it, I was like, really liking this, but then I went back and rewrote it, like Bruce being a kid and stuff like that. It was just, it was fun to see the progression with Bruce and Selina. I like that she is kind of showing him that he can't do everything himself, and Alfred's been showing that a little bit to him somewhat up to this point, but like that, you know, the second he hits the street and stuff like that, he's toast. Like he's not going to make it. Learning just boxing and stuff like that. You know, there aren't gloves out on the streets and stuff like that. And I just liked seeing Bruce be a kid, but at the same time, I like the back and forth between them and how there is going to be a progression. It reminded me of the kind of the retconning in First Class with Mystique, and Xavier. Like it just reminded me of that, where I didn't see it going this way exactly. I knew they were the same age and the show would probably do that, but the way they're handling it, I think, is really well done with the characters kind of mingling.
Thank God these are two good child actors, because this could be 8 shades of obnoxious to have to watch.
Yeah. If we had little barbers running around, it'd be horrible. But I feel like, and I'm not sure, I can't remember if I saw this
little
at one point, but I don't. Little barbers. And Selina could be a little barber. Who knows? I can't remember if the producers talked about this, or particularly the Bruno Hellner or whatever, I can't remember his name, Bruno whatever, the showrunner. He might have mentioned about recasting an older Bruce as time goes on, or if the kid is going to age along with it. I can't remember if that is their intention.
There have been a lot of people in our audience suggesting that there should be a time jump, and I don't know if the producers have talked about the possibility of that ever happening, but it's a thing that keeps coming up, and I don't know if it's just wishful thinking on the part of the viewers, or if there's actually been discussion about it. Frankly, this show, I've not looked at a lot of background on. I've kind of been allowing myself to just watch the show and not keep up with production stuff, but...
Yeah, it was more so, I think, earlier on when I was reading interviews with the producer. I think he might have alluded to a time jump, but because I don't think I would have come to that on my own. But
I don't know why this is.
I don't know if I would want that at this point. Like, I think these actors are, particularly Bruce, I think they could go on for years and really kind of keep this going. The kid would have to bulk up at some point because the kid's a twig right now. But then again, that's what Bruce would be. Like, I'm not expecting him to be a little roided out, ripped kid.
Steve, watch it be like the 24 miniseries where the whole, we keep talking about the whole show. Okay, when's the time jump gonna happen? And then it's just in the last 5 minutes of the final episode. This is neither here nor there. I don't know why this is, but on my social media, for some reason, I always get stuff about Arrow. I seem to be incapable of not knowing about big things happening in Arrow before they happen, but this show, I hear about nothing. And it has more viewers. I don't know why that is.
I don't know.
They're just not marketing it very hard because it's already got such a big audience. They don't even need to waste their money on stuff
like that. It's Batman.
Live tweets every now and then, but... They don't have to. Everyone watches the show anyway.
Maybe that's the deal. They just don't leak stuff. Because Arrow, they're always leaking things. And, Anyway, Steve, did you have the same best moment? That was mine.
No, my best moment was a scene before that with Selina and Bruce, where Bruce is apologizing for talking about her parents or asking her about her parents, Then he's kind of guilt-ridden about him not being able to do anything. Selina kind of talking about what her parents could be and stuff. I really like that scene. That scene is entirely both of them. They're children, but they're trying to be adults, and they're really conflicted about that, and the dialogue serves it, the acting really serves it. That scene was really hard not to just get invested in. Like, I couldn't take notes watching it. I just had to, like, put it on full screen and watch, because the actors are so good.
Yeah.
And when Bruce is like, what he didn't do, he delivers that so well. Like, there's a stutter in his voice, and his head goes down a little bit.
That
like,
was great.
It's just fantastic acting. I want this show to go on for 7 years, because I want to see this kid play Batman. I think he could. I think he could be the best Batman we've had if he just is like 7 years older.
I also want to see him and Selina grow up together and have a relationship. At least with this episode. And I don't know if they have to be the on again, off again. Batman can't get Selina to follow him as a force for good kind of. I think it could go differently than that with this. I don't know that it will. Now he might not ever be able to change her as being, you know, kind of a street rat kind of character, and she might never be able to change him from being you know, somewhat you know, not prim and proper, but just you know being from that world to a degree. But I don't know. I don't know. I just feel like if you start it from there, they're going to be way different than we're used to them when they're adults. That dynamic.
I think more than anything, this show could make a case for Selina settling down with Bruce better than anything else has really done. Because every time they do that, it's just like a wish fulfillment fantasy kind of thing. I think you could honestly work on it and develop that relationship to that point without it being some kind of cop-out to tell an Elseworld story.
The other thing that's really cool is that we know the likelihood is good that Bruce Wayne doesn't have like 55 serious girlfriends before he finally settles down with the girl that he's allegedly supposed to, right? Now, I'm not saying that Selina Kyle is always has to be Batman's Lois Lane. I don't mean to say that. But on the other hand, if they're gonna kind of go there or keep hinting at that or whatever, I think them being not on again, off again, but just like kind of flirting with maybe having a relationship for a long time works a lot better than something like, say, Arrow, where it's like, well, he's supposed to be with Black Canary, but he's gonna date like every other female character in the show before that, every single one of them before that,
including Thea.
Also, it helps. It also helps that he's. It also helps, of course, in this show that he's 13. But
I will be right back. I'm sorry, I have to go to the bathroom really bad. I've been rotating in my chair for the last 20 minutes. Like,
I'm sorry, this has been a longer show. Go right ahead.
I will be right back.
We'll wait for you. Go ahead. That was hilarious.
That was.
I'm gonna have to decide if I'm actually going to stop this, or if I'm actually gonna like edit this part out, or just leave it.
I don't know. I think we could honestly keep it going.
We could. This is the part where we just where Dan goes to the bathroom. Well, my best moment was the same as Dan's.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it was really hard to pick between those two because they're both just really good scenes. I think one of them exemplifies more of like the childish relationship, and the other one's like they want to be adults.
Yeah.
But they're really perfect. I think both moments work for those characters, and it confirms all the stuff we were thinking about last episode. We wish this is where they would go, and they actually did it.
They're actually doing it, and kind of unlikely parallels, right? Like they are connected in ways I might not have, at least prior to the show. I never would have thought to do Batman and Catwoman. But then again, I never would have thought to start a show with Catwoman sees Batman's parents die.
No, I mean I think that was a good way to open the show.
Yeah, it was. I know. And now, were you doing what I was doing when I watched the first episode for the first time? I went, really? We're gonna do this?
Yeah. I was hesitant. I thought it was weird. But no, I think the more we talk about it, the more it just works. I still really like that scene. I still think that scene was shot really well.
Yeah.
And what was I going to say? I completely lost my train of thought.
I don't know. You're probably distracted by Dan's picture that's left here since he left, because that is creepy. Whatever that is, I don't know what that is. What is that? Dan finds the strangest thing. It's freaking me. I don't know what it is. At first, I thought maybe it was like from Inglourious Bastards or something, but I don't think it is. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
No, I've seen the movie 1,000 times. That's not in that movie.
That's not, yeah.
I would remember.
I'll have to ask him.
Oh, okay. I know what I was going to say. In the comics, Bruce and Selina have a relationship. And I've never been a big fan of it.
He's back. Hi, Dan.
I'm back.
Hey, Dan.
Hello.
I was just going to say, in the comics, Bruce and Selina have a relationship, but I've never been a fan of it. I don't like Batman, Catwoman together, because from Batman's perspective, she's the personification of the way he's flirting with violence, and that's why he's attracted to her. It is kind of a flirt thing. It is a psychological flirt thing. They don't have enough in common as people.
Not just that, but it's unhealthy, right?
It's not healthy
if he can't change her, if he can't get her to be more mature about things and not love the city the way it is, how could they ever make things work? One of my favorite iterations of that is Catwoman is kind of okay with Arkham City.
Yeah, I love that. And it's the same for her, and too, like, she can't have a relationship with Bruce because she has to fundamentally change who he is.
Yeah.
And it just wouldn't work for each other. But in this show, it's different. Like, because they're so young and they're still impressionable and there's still a lot they have in common just on the basis of they're orphans and they're trying to be older than they are and they're dealing with things in different ways, but it's still kind of bringing them to be the same person. I think this is one of the better times where you can make a case for Selina and Bruce getting together and it working. Like, you don't have to do this flirting with danger relationship with them. They could honestly just be dating.
Well, let's go ahead and go on to our worst moment, or what I also like to call the segment, We Hate Barbara and Why Is She Still in This Show? We all already know, obviously, what our worst moment is, which is why we've not discussed it yet, so let's not even bother going round robin and just say, really?
It was the worst. It was really the worst.
Worst.
They did the worst, the thing that would make me cringe the most when it happened.
Yep. And I'm going to say that it's not only the worst moment of this episode, it is the worst cliffhanger of the season by far.
You know, this is exciting. It's infuriating.
It's infuriating. Yeah, it makes you almost want to come back next week just to see more of the train wreck, right? And I mean, I like everything else. I mean, I like a lot of other things, but like that, you're just like, well, actually, no, it doesn't make you want to. It makes you go, it's a good thing I like something else in this show. Because I don't want to have to watch more of that.
Are more positive on it than the general consensus, but I could honestly see someone liking the show and dropping it after that cliffhanger.
Just because of that,
yeah. I mean, it's honestly possible. She's such a big part of the show, and she's such a terrible part of it. It's almost a deal breaker.
I'm going to straight up say what my prediction is right now, and as far as that goes, and that is she's going to come back either next episode or the episode after, and I told you guys, don't get excited when she leaves, because they're going to just keep doing this to us. So she walks out on Jim. She's sleeping with Montoya. Can we quit throwing Montoya under the bus, by the way? Because I'd love to like Montoya. She's a character I've liked before in other things. Could I maybe like that character? I don't know. Does she have to Does she have to just be the third wheel in a love triangle? Really, do we have to do that? Anyway, so they're sleeping together. Here's what I think is going to happen, and I think it's pretty clear that she's going to show back up, and they're going to go episodes and episodes without Jim knowing that that's happening, and she's going to pretend like everything's fine, and Jim's going to buy into it because he wants so badly for that relationship to work for no reason I can fathom. Give me one thing, Jim Gordon. Give me one reason why your life is any better with her in it. One. I don't see it. I don't understand it. I feel like it's this really obnoxious, gimmicky TV thing of she's a girl and she's cute and he likes her, and so the relationships don't work like that. He's got to have a reason.
The biggest thing I don't understand about the show is Barbara's arc. What are they doing?
I don't know,
because it was literally like she left, then she came back, and then she did the Falcone thing. That was stupid. And then she was scared, and then she left again. And now she's with Montoya. Like, what is that? That's like some weird, like, flippy-floppy, inconsistent thing. And I guess the writers can chalk it up to herself saying she's stupid and she doesn't, but that's not an excuse. Like, that's it doesn't make sense.
And the thing is, I don't know if the writers are aware that she's been consistently obnoxious since the beginning. Really, I don't think they know that because they have her write that letter, and even in the like last time on Gotham thing, they made a big deal out of she's freaking out because of Zaz. I think they're using that her dealing with Zaz and Falcone as an excuse to make her. Or to explain away why she is so needy. She calls herself that, you know, why she's needy and why she's like kind of unstable, and she was like that before any of that happened. She's already like that. Well, the thing before, she was manipulative and selfish and a drama queen, and now she's all of that plus. Allegedly, plus the needy thing and the unstable thing, but I think all that was there too. I think a lot of that was the impetus for the reason that she was selfish and manipulative. And like, I think she is still all of those things, and I think she'll continue to be all of those things. And so, like, you know, the fact that the show is suddenly, and I don't know if they're doing this because of fan reaction and stuff. I doubt it, because I figured they probably had most of this in the can already. Like if they're doing it because, oh, people don't like her, so we have to try to like make that work better, but for some reason we like her, so we're gonna keep her the same way. Not working, guys. She's always been like this. There's been no difference at all.
Yeah.
Anyway,
there are no words in some cases. It's just frustrating. One of my biggest issues with this is, what is Montoya giving her? Because she has no character, but what's Montoya giving her that she can't get from just living with Jim, albeit maybe move to a different house or something?
Well, I'm not going to state the obvious, Steve. I'm not gonna do that.
She wants a person before the physical.
Okay.
Giving her that Gordon.
I think that's giving her too much credit.
Because I think it is too. I think it could be just as simple as she can't decide what her sexuality is, and she's and she's making other people have to help her decide while affecting them in really negative ways.
She just left Jim for female Jim. It's not.
Yeah, that's smart. You can do a story about someone conflicted in their sexuality.
Yes, you can.
Fine.
Yeah, yes, you can.
Make them characters.
She's not even remotely apologetic about. I don't know, man.
Even like what you said, Steve. There's been no hint that there's even like that conflict of men or women. Like there has been no hint of that. The only conflict I've seen is like, do I smoke a joint or drink a glass of wine? Like that's the only. I really don't understand her.
And also, didn't they have a really bad breakup? Like, didn't they have a really
there's more conflict in their relationship than there is with Jim's relationship.
Well, what I was gonna say is, why is Montoya letting this happen? Like, she's becoming just as bad as Barbara in some ways. Because, like...
Well, evidently, she just never got over her and is really attracted to her. That's all her character's been for the entire series so far.
You're right.
All she wanted was Barbara back for no good reason. And in a show that's doing 2 children with fantastic acting and psychology and infant and stuff, they can't get 2 consenting adults right.
That's a good point you're making. Yeah, well, and the thing is, Gordon is... What it makes it feel like... And I mean, I don't want to be mean, but what it makes it feel like is that they let Gordon start working with Alan and Montoya a couple episodes ago so that we could make this love triangle more dramatic.
And here I thought it was because it would move the story along in a logical way.
Why is it that the same people... it's the same thing... In some ways, it's the same thing that I had with, like, Lex Luthor in Smallville and some of the other stuff in Smallville, where I was like, how do the same people write the Lex and Lionel stuff so freaking well, and then the high school stuff they often left me wanting. This episode has that same problem, except it's everything, almost everything, and then Barbara. It's like, how is it that these people can write this really interesting stuff for Bullock and this amazingly interesting psychology for Penguin, and then this woman they can't deal with? And maybe some of it is men trying to write women and not knowing what they're doing, because there's not another really super interesting female character. I mean, like, you have Fish, but she's such a... That almost doesn't even feel like men writing a really interesting female character so much as she's this, like, really extreme, crazy... Like, I mean, like, you could almost put a man in there except for all the mother stuff, right? Like,
Well, I think what helps with Fish is that they're just writing a character, and it happens to work for a woman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Barbara, they're writing a character who they know is going to be an attractive woman for love triangle stuff. That's in the back of their mind while they make her character arc, and it shouldn't be.
That's everything summed up in one sound.
I'm having such a hard time. I said this last week. I'm having such a hard time even paying attention to that stuff. I don't even want to.
This thing was like this part was like this small in this episode. Otherwise,
if she gets
it makes the episode worse.
If she gets an episode, I'm gonna let you guys. If she gets her own episode,
my goodness,
you guys can have it. You guys can have it that week.
That will be the death of the show.
It's all you.
I'm conveniently sick that day.
Me too. In fact, we will record Gotham discussions anyway. We'll just turn the camera on, but no one will be here.
Yeah, the episode entitled Barbara Gordon.
No, that episode would have her in 2 scenes. No, that episode would have her in 2 scenes, Dan.
Oh, that's true. That is true.
Okay, this show's insanely long today. Sorry about that. Let's move on.
It's because I'm back.
But Dan, we love you, man. We really do.
No,
quotes. Anybody have a favorite quote today? Dan?
Yeah.
Favorite quote?
Yeah. I had Alfred's line of taking a punch is just as important as throwing one. Because I think that's a very consistent theme throughout the show. I think we've had even other lines that kind of echo the same thing, where you have to take your lumps and stuff like that. It seems to be a very consistent thing going on in the show, where these characters have to understand that in order to kind of reach that greater good, you're going to have to go through this kind of arduous trial.
Penguin's entire philosophy.
Yeah.
Steve.
That was one of mine. My other was another Alfred quote when he's really sarcastically saying, "Oh, a trustworthy lawyer in Gotham." It's not only funny, but it's a really good statement of that show. Of lawyers aren't trustworthy anyway, but this is Gotham, so no matter what you expect, it's hyped up to 11. And Alfred's used to it, and Gordon still isn't, and that's why they don't get along. But at the same time, Gordon's still showing him the light in some ways.
Yeah, because in this version of Gotham, ministers and veterinarians aren't trustworthy.
Yeah.
Any of them. Let's see. Mine is I have the same one Dan did, and then Selina's in Gotham. People don't fight with gloves on.
Yeah,
that one's good. Unfortunately, no, That's So Bullock this week. This is very light on Bullock. He showed up for that actor showed up for Hope showed up for like an hour and a half.
Yeah, exactly. Like he was just there to facilitate stuff. But something I was like mentioning earlier about how like I was happy how clever they were to get to that warehouse with the guy in there. Like when they were talking to Nygma and they just all of a sudden seemed to know, yes, the armory, it has iron vaults, and like they seemingly didn't look any of this stuff up. They just knew it for some reason. And it's like, oh, that's actually registered that was bought by a private company, and that must have been felt home. Like,
you know what I'm gonna say, right? I've been since the weekend binging Adam West Batman. Since I got that set, I'm working on a rewind for it, and I'm binging that. And that was the most 60s Batman thing I've seen in a long time. Where it's the only possible answer. And I mean, like, okay, if that's the only thing in Gotham that still uses that material, yeah, I guess I can kind of see it. But why do they immediately know that? That's what was so funny about it. I mean, you get the sense in 60s Batman that Adam West spends all of his time when he's not being Batman and when we're not seeing him play chess with Dick Grayson or whatever, that he's spending all of his time reading up on every single little thing he can about guy, because he knows when he's got a catalog in his head of when every public event's gonna happen. And I had that with this. I was like, why do Gordon and they also had that Batman and Robin thing where like they look at each other like, oh, that's the only possible answer.
The Diamond Gala is tonight. Let's go, sort of deal. But yeah, that was just ridiculous for me.
To the Bullock Mobile.
I also wanted to bring up one other thing because we didn't touch on it, and it was something that I noticed. guys happen to? I think that the music in the show has somewhat been not so memorable up to this point.
Have not been impressed.
I felt like this episode actually had some cues in there that actually like caught my attention. Like, oh, there's music here. Where like in the beginning we had Bruce and Selina. They had very like jingly music, and then they had Penguin's like kind of pseudo Russian sort of. Kind of violin and stuff going on during his sleuthing scene because there's no dialogue. It's just him going around sniffing things, and even Fish when she goes out to meet the Russians, there's a little bit of a jazzy kind of saxophone going on, and I felt like either the show got a new music supervisor or they finally actually had a time to go through and actually do something unique with it. I felt like there was a lot more fun going on with the music this episode. I wasn't sure if you guys caught that or not.
I did a little bit. Now the Penguin stuff I've been liking all the way through. But beyond that, I keep being distracted by the fact that a lot of the soundtrack sounds like 24, and it's in 24's old time slot, so that's hilarious. But yeah, I've not been impressed with it overall. You're right, this one was better. This one was better.
Yeah.
Yeah, even the Gotham theme, though, is just kind of generic, big booming music.
And 24.
So it's hard to notice a little.
Yeah. Sorry, what?
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, what, Steve?
I was just saying it's hard to notice in smaller cases. Like, I love that Selina Bruce scene, but I didn't pay attention to the music, so...
I noticed it because it was like... like, it was like a wind chime was going on during the scene.
And then Dan was like looking at his backyard to see if it was just his wind chimes.
Yeah, my wind chimes hanging out my office window.
Your office window. I didn't know where you were when you watched it. But yeah, I don't know. Every now and again, when I watch something like this and like the music's not grabbing me, I just want to every now and again like take the theme from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and just throw it in there. Dun 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 dun. Just like doesn't even remotely fit.
The Arrow one.
That was good, Dan.
It's more so just a synthy build-up more so than a theme, but it works.
Theme, yeah. Okay, so guest stars. Harvey Dent is played by Nicholas D'Agosto.
D'Agosto.
Dan, you know him from stuff.
Yeah, he was the kind of pseudo main character in the fifth Final Destination movie, and then he was also in Showtime's Master of Sex, both seasons. Not a big character in the second season, but yeah, he's actually a pretty decent actor.
He's also in Heroes.
He was in Heroes. Yeah.
Oh, was he?
That was I looked him up and was like, oh, that guy. Okay. And then, sorry, I'm looking at other things. And then who else? We've got Al Sapienza is Dick Lovecraft, and that guy's been in freaking everything. When you look at his IMDb, he's got like no fewer than 10 credits of things that aren't even out yet. He's constantly being cast in things as he's a big character actor. But he, as well as the guy who played Ian Hargrove, was in Person of Interest, and he was in the Godzilla movie that just came out, and he was Edward Rasmus in the first season of Arrow, and he was in House of Cards. So we're starting to see a lot of crossover between some of these shows, which is neat. Yeah. And then Hargrove was played by the way, I kind of like that Hargrove was a new made-up character. This show doesn't feel the need to always go to comic book, which is good, because all the major characters are people I've heard of. Hargrove was played by Leslie Odom Jr. I mentioned him earlier, Person of Interest, Law & Order, SVU, and now we go on to comic book references. The big ones, Harvey Dent, and this is the first time we saw Blackgate, I think.
Yeah. Saw Blackgate, yeah.
Yeah, there's been mention up to this point, but yeah, this was the first time we actually saw it.
The Lovecraft thing Steve mentioned, is there anything else?
Not that I can think of, no. Arkham is finally being used for what Arkham is.
Which is very exciting. I can't wait to see what it looks like inside.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that ringtone? That's not really a comic book reference, but
don't say what it is, because that's my question.
So I figured it was going to be your question.
That's what I thought.
That's why I said the ringtone and not what it was.
It was great, and I thought it was so funny that I might. The last 3 discussions I've done on different shows have been like questions about music, because there's been a lot of this stuff.
It made me think Zaz planted the bomb just because of.
Me too.
I was like, fanciful ringtone.
Wait, you guys have done the fanciful ringtone before? Yeah. We didn't mention this anywhere earlier, so we probably should. For all all of the many viewers that have been complaining about this, we saw more than one room in Wayne Manor.
I meant to write that in my notes. I forgot about that. They were walking in a hallway and they were at a pool. I
couldn't believe it. It still feels smaller than it should be. And we're still mostly in that one room.
Bruce is just broken this version or something. He can only afford one room at a time.
He's called a billionaire in the episode. Yeah.
Oh, did you guys also notice that he only trains in dress shirts and sweaters and stuff?
Yeah, would somebody explain to me why that is? When like he was swimming in his normal clothes, and then Selina was like, here's what was weird. She said what he was doing was weird. Somehow that trying to see how long you could hold your breath is like kids do that. Like, as a matter of course. It was more so that
he was wearing his full clothes, I think.
I don't know! She didn't say anything about that! She was like, what you're doing right now is weird, and then he explains it, and she's like, that's not gonna help you in the real world. I was like, why don't you say something about the fact that he's wearing all his clothes?
See, I figured, like, because I made the same note, and I figured it was just, you know, I've tried to do that thing where I hold my breath underwater and stuff like that, and I always tend to float back up. So maybe it weighed him down a little bit, who knows?
Oh, that's... the only other thing
I just don't want to get it wet.
The only other thing I can think of is it's super cold because like most of the time TV shows like this take place in real time as far as when the time of year is. I'm pretty sure it gets cold in Gotham. It's freaking November. What's he doing in a swimming pool?
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah.
I don't know. You guys have any predictions?
The section's called predictions and hopes, right?
Yes, predictions and hopes.
Okay, my hope is that someone shoots Barbara and then she never comes back.
Look,
I think we all echo
be gullible. Okay. It's not gonna happen.
I just feel the need to say it because if I say it enough times, just maybe it'll happen.
One day. I was kind of like you had said, or like we had talked about earlier. I always end up bringing up what I had said before. Kind of the Riddler thing. I really like to see that play out and actually be significant because I felt like it was too random to not be significant. And it'd be awesome if one day he just has this plot where something happens and because of all that, you can go back and watch all the episodes and all the little random things were just little clues that can just lead to this one big answer that would kind of be cool. I don't know how that would work. I don't see it connecting, but if it did, it would be amazing.
Agreed. Also, Maroni, we haven't seen him in a while. I hope he comes back soon.
Maroni, Falcone, they both kind of took this episode off.
And we didn't see either last episode either, I don't think.
This was more so focused on the case.
Or did we see Falcone last
Bruce.
episode? Memory not serving. I don't remember if we saw Falcone last episode. Yeah.
No, we didn't see him last episode. I think the last time we saw both of them, or just either of them, was in the Penguin's Umbrella episode, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that makes a lot of sense because keep in mind that obviously they're pitting Fish and Penguin up against each other really hard, and those are the characters that really matter right now. And obviously they're positioning them for huge takeover things. I got to tell you, I keep saying that I expect Penguin to kill Fish by the end of this. I'm really more and more starting to wonder if season 2 isn't a gang war between them completely.
I can see that, yeah.
I'm starting to wonder that. I wanted to add, I mentioned that, and I don't have any other predictions right this very moment. I wanted to add last week and forgot. I mentioned it, and then we didn't even do it, Steve. That I want to start doing a symbol segment because there's always objects that stand for things. We got the whole lilac thing this episode. And interestingly, as I'm looking up what lilacs are said to generally symbolize, they can be both for confidence and sometimes for pride and youthful innocence. And both work in this. I think that's really interesting. Because Fish uses it and she's I think you might say overly confident, but then Liza's got the whole youthful innocence thing going on. So I think that's really interesting. If they were thinking of both, that they found the flower that's both of those things.
Yeah, Harvey's got the confidence thing going for sure.
Yeah, that's right. Not that the lilacs had anything to do with him, but that echoes in another subplot. Yeah.
Like it's spreading. It's not just contained for that episode. It's working for all the characters.
It's contagious. The lilacs are contagious.
Yeah.
Let's go on to our trivia questions for the week. Wow, this was a long episode. Dan, what is...
I don't think I have anything this week, but
okay. What was yours from last
answer.
time? Yeah, and if I got anything, if anybody sent an answer for yours, it's not in my notes. Sorry about that. Dan, what is your trivia question from last time, and what is the answer?
Last time my question was the voice actor who played Harvey Bullock in the animated series, voiced in a large video game, which also had the voice of Commissioner Gordon, who played a judge in the game. What game was that? And it was the answer was Mafia 2.
Awesome, good question. Steve, what was your question from last time?
Last time my question was about Roman Sionis and the fact that his parents don't pay any attention to him, so he's often injured when they go out. During one of those occasions, he's injured by what animal? And it's a rabid raccoon. Which
is hilarious. Answered first, this time by Zombie Thing MD, so congratulations to you for knowing about the zombie raccoon. The rabid
raccoon. Just wanted his face, that's what it was.
You know that next time Marvel publishes a Marvel Zombies book, we will have a zombie rocket raccoon. That's got to happen. My question from last time was, what was the weapon of choice from I want to say it was Sionis, but one of the masked guys at the beginning of last episode in the office. They were using office supplies, and it was really freaky the way they used it, the way they shot it. He breaks one of those big heavy duty paper cutters, pulls the blade off, and starts swinging it around like a sword.
A guy in the second fight does the same thing.
Yeah.
The guy in the second fight has one too.
Yeah, that was crazy. So that was my question, and it was given to us first by Satnos. So congratulations to you. And somebody in the comments said that that's actually a thing in a movie that I've never seen. Said, oh, exit wounds. Goondoy said, you've never seen exit wounds? They use those in that movie.
It's on Netflix. I'm pretty sure that's on Netflix.
Is that worth watching?
Yeah, that's the Steven Seagal movie, isn't it?
I've never seen it.
I haven't seen it either, but I've seen it on Netflix.
And the reason he said that was because I was like, oh, that's so unusual. And he was like, well, it's been done before. And I didn't know about it.
Anything's been done before.
Yeah.
The Simpsons have done everything.
The Simpsons have had the guy with the paper cutter.
Simpsons did it first.
Steve, what is your question for today, sir?
Okay, this week my question's about Harvey Dent. So after Hush fixed his face, Batman left him in charge of Gotham. And during the 1 year later story, there's a bunch of murders that happen, and Harvey becomes Two-Face again. My question is, who scars Two-Face that time?
Good question. Mine is, as we alluded to earlier, what is the song for the ringtone that goes off when the quit that? It's gonna tell everybody what it is. When the bomb goes off, that was your hint right there, in case you weren't paying attention to the episode. The title of the song is quite appropriate for the situation.
Do you want to? Okay, so speaking of references.
Anyway, that's my question.
That was Job's Job in Arrested Development. That was his magical performance song. It was played by the guy who did the voice of Batman in the Lego Movie.
Oh wow! Awesome. Okay, all right. Well, so lots of clues then. And
Will Arnett, that's his name.
Anyway, that's it for us today. Thanks everybody as always for watching Gotham Discussions. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you know either of our questions or both of them, don't hesitate to go to geekvolution.com, click on the contact page, and send us your answer or answers. Guys, thanks for being with me. This was fun. Super thorough, really thorough discussion.
This has to be the longest discussions we had for Gotham.
Gotta be, but but anyway, we always have a great time. Thanks for watching. Yes. I am Captain Logan. This was Beware the Steve Baxi.
Beware.
And the magnanimous DanzNewz.
He was the best of us.
I found Harvey Dent. Can we trust him? Yeah. I found some evidence. Anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye.
Bye.
All right, here we go.
This is the best.
Yeah.
Hello. This one's the best. Yeah. All right, here we go. The
Games on it. I mean, come on.
The only thing that would have made that more like a huddle at the beginning of a basketball game would have been if we had all gotten up to our cameras and gone, break!
We're the best.
1, 2, 3, Gotham discussion!
Oh, shiny shoes.
Shiny shoes! Yeah, alright, shiny shoes on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3, shiny shoes!
And then we all run off. And then don't record anything.
Yeah,